All right, it is BCB Live time here in Mansfield, Texas. Sir Rick, John Travolta coming to you live right here. Drive Say Dave, I'm digging the hair, baby. I like it. Go Grease Lightning. Go Grease Lightning. I like the style. I-95, Drive Safe Dave. Welcome to a great Monday morning. We missed you yesterday on the show. I made a mistake, and I talked to some of the guys on the thing, and it doesn't happen very often. On Saturday, I go, hey, you know what? We will see you Monday morning on BCB Live, thinking that it was Sunday, I guess. I don't know what I was thinking. Of course, Drive Safe Dave doesn't correct me. He comes in on Monday. He's a no-show on Saturday saying, hey, I thought you said it was Monday.
Saturday I was here, and actually I was working. I just was working from the house. But I didn't show up because I thought we were doing, because Sir Rick, you know, the boss, said we'll be back on Monday.
And we are going to be back on Monday and Sunday. This show runs 7 days a week.
God.
I was just saying that because we had some drivers on there. I saw some listeners that only listen to us Monday through Friday. I was talking to them at that point. Hey, Drive Safe Dave. Wow, what a college football weekend. Did you watch it?
Oh, yeah, I watched. I didn't sit down and watch any game.
Come on now. You had Alabama come back and played horrific. You know, they dropped down to number 4.
Overtime, I saw that.
It was a miserable game, hard game to watch.
Overtimes.
They do win the game. You have Georgia, Michigan, Cincinnati, Alabama, and some big games next week as we kind of tie it in. That Alabama-Georgia game is coming on.
Yeah.
Alabama has to win or they're out. I mean, these last 2 weeks, they're done if they don't make it in there.
Shady.
But I'm just going to say that Michigan team could have beat anybody in the country last Saturday when they beat Ohio State. The Ohio State, for you Ohio State fans.
It did look good.
It didn't matter what Ohio State did. Michigan looked phenomenal.
And Georgia Tech doesn't. I mean, Georgia.
Sorry, not Michigan State too. I know the Michigan fans are going, what? What?
Georgia looked good
too.
Georgia looked good too, and I think they beat what 45.
No, they beat nobody though. But
Georgia Tech.
That nobody. No, that's a nobody game. They're favored next week against Alabama. I think 6.5 points.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how Alabama's going to stand a chance. They're just not the team they were. But Lincoln Riley leaves OU. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He's going to USC. And as well as, like, when that happens, you have, like, those 5-star recruits. I think we had 3 or 4 of them come back and say, hey, we're decommitting from OU as well. So you OU fans out there, wow, what a hit. Nobody saw that coming.
No, and I'll tell you, did you watch the OU game?
I did. O State.
Yeah, O State game. Good game. But I'll tell you, what was weird to watch is that we've got these big games coming up with Alabama and Oklahoma playing Baylor. I mean, you got some chances to flip-flop what's going to happen in the final deal, but I do believe Cincinnati will be there. Did you see Notre Dame?
Cincinnati still has to beat Houston. So let's not, and they're going to have to beat them probably convincingly. But it is for them to. It's really for them to lose.
Right.
Cincinnati does play Houston, so Houston's 10-1. So it's not going to be just a wall-up game on there. But you know, so you do have for the first time ever a team outside the Big Five. You know, may make that playoff.
Yeah, you got Notre Dame hanging out there right there at the
bottom.
bottom.
Notre Dame's out. You know what? Let me tell you something. If you are a Notre Dame fan,
I'm not.
Start looking at the other games other than the playoff, because that's where you're going. You're not going to the playoff. Let's just get that straight right now.
I don't know. They're hanging out at what, number 5?
So is Oklahoma State. Everybody has a chance. That's the beauty of this country that we're in. Producer?
Well, I was just going to say that Notre Dame's sitting in number 6, but they are 11-1, which is the same thing as Roll Tide. Yeah. So, you know.
Yeah, but
no.
But look at their strength of schedule.
The difference is SEC. Let me tell you something. When you're in the SEC, it chases coaches away.
Dude,
you know, just the fact that OU is going to play the SEC, it scared Lincoln out. Because I'm out here. I can't compete with these boys in the SEC.
And they're going to come in at what? They come in at 2025, right? Isn't that when OU's coming?
Yes, sir. That's
2025.
Yes. Already scared. Already scared.
Even though he won't play, he's already scared.
Hey, we've been talking a little bit last Friday, right? We had the new variant come out.
Omicron.
There you go. It has made landfall in North America, up north of us in Canada. But we saw the stock market just go crazy last week, fell over 900 points. As well, we saw that diesel price just plummet down as well, 28.5 cents it went down. The second largest in the history of the contracted price, the first being like 29.5. And drive safe, Dave, here we go. A little contest for you. The last drop happened January 17th. Now, that's the day the market opened of 1991. Drive safe, Dave, for $50 towards some great benefit. Can you tell us what happened in 1991 to make it plummet?
I'm going to go. It had everything to do with the war in Iraq.
Can you be more specific?
The invasion of Kuwait.
Allied forces.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll $50 to your favorite charity. Drive safe, Dave. Great job on that. You know what? You don't challenge this guy in history. I'm just going to say, you don't do it at all. Great job on that. Drive safe, Dave. Indeed, you're 100% correct. And it was January 17th, the first day after the attack by Allied forces that's seeking to reverse the country's invasion of Kuwait.
That's correct.
I almost was going to make you say that a little bit different, but I think you would have got it anyway.
Oh, yeah, but led by Schwarzkopf in the end-around move.
Hey, we also, let's just talk a little bit. We talked last week again about some of the, it was Southwest, no, it was American Airlines. Those, the flight attendants
are getting
getting karate lessons.
Yeah, they're getting
kickboxing lessons, saying, I challenge you, and here it happened again. This
crazy.
Time on Spirit Airlines, which probably isn't a big shocker, right? I mean, I think you get angry just boarding Spirit Airlines. Let's just be honest.
When you look at your chair, you're like, what?
No, so the lady coming out of Fort Lauderdale going to Nashville, she was a little intoxicated, which seems to be, producer, right? I think that was one of the top 2 or 3 reasons, was intoxication leading the list of that.
Yeah, it was one of the leading causes of people getting more unruly. And what's funny is the description of this lady. They were like, police took the woman into custody for, of course, public intoxication and, beating and pulling the hair out of some of the flight attendants. But they described her as having bloodshot eyes and a vicious look in her eyes. So she was ready for blood.
Yeah, she was out of control and again, intoxicated. And what we know is 2 things, right? You don't get food on Spirit Airlines, so and you don't get alcohol. So either she had to have boarded that plane probably halfway intoxicated already, in which she was yelling out, she was yelling, screaming out, I didn't do anything wrong and shoot me. And all I got to say is be careful what you wish for. Woo!
don't cry out, shoot me.
Yeah. But it's just out of control. Again, you know what? It's our time to remind you that you've got to pack your patience. We've seen a lot of vehicles, a lot of trucks, a lot of cars acting a little bit crazy on the road as we get into that Black Friday, as we get into the chaos that we're in right now. And you've got to slow it down. You've got to look out. When you come to merge points, you've got to be careful when you come to those orange signs. Drive safe, Dave. Orange signs saying kind of what's an orange sign typically saying?
The workers ahead, construction, basically letting you know that what's going on up there, it could be dangerous. Slow down. Give them the respect they need. They're out there doing everything they can to make the roads better for everyone involved. You've just got to give them a little bit more respect. And by you doing that, you also allow everyone around you to slow down as well. So you kind of lead the way, you lead the road, you lead the pack. Make sure everybody knows what you're doing. And if you have to, hit the flashers, let them know what you see, and let them know to slow down.
Hey, Black Friday sales, who's got the numbers on it? They're up. Foot traffic was up for certain from last year, but still like 20% under, 29% under where it was back in 2019 pre-pandemic.
Yeah, and from what I've been reading from just a few different places, it seems like spending was spread out more over the week as opposed to just on Black Friday. Right. I mean, so many shops now are opening up their doors online as early as Tuesday and just letting the sales run throughout the week. I think there's still a lot of places who are running sales throughout the rest of the day today. So we're going to see a lot of spending go through, but I believe it was up 7% from last year overall, but down on Black Friday itself.
And you speak to that, and I'll tell you, on Saturday, there was lines out on stores, but they were a lot smaller than they've been typically and historically. I know that Home Depot, I saw like only like 20 people out there. And then I saw on the news there was like people over at Best Buy in different places like that. They had like 6, 8 people. Normally they'd have been camping out for a week with 50 people, and now, and I do believe that is true. It is spread out over time.
Yeah, and as we go and look at the chart here, we're going to look at what's going on last Friday, right? We had Friday, the day after a holiday. Not a lot of freight going on. We'll get this thing out of the way here. Here we go. We see that freight really plummeted down to that 11,429 mark. And what I want you to see, though, when we talk about the volume, is up here is where we were last year. Last year being a record high when we talk volume, and it's down a little bit this year. Going down as it did last year, and it's not going to go up like it did last year. I think we know a couple things. Number one, the product's not available to even if you order it online, so why order it? But if we go back and we look out a little bit ahead of ourselves, we see right here, and I'm gonna help you out here, but we see where we are right now. Today, this is where we started out. Last year, we fell right around here, not much under, but we don't expect to see that same jump that we saw last year. Expect it to go right around here, kind of trickle down where we were last year, still considerably higher than any other year we've been at. And we're going to show you this. Remember, we look at our volume in the years past. Let's just change this to 3 years. We can go back and we can look at 3 years out if it'll do it. Here we go. Charts come out. Here's every other year period, 2 years, 3 years past. We are all the way down in that 7,300 mark. So significant increase in volume today versus those years past. Again, here's where we are every year. Here's where we are right now. Look at that difference right there. Over 3,300 shipments a day being shipped out every single day. Today at its lowest point than it did back on the highest point back in a couple of years ago. So it's absolutely amazing what we're seeing on here. And we also want to go back and look at the rejections real fast. We go back and we look at the rejections, and the crazy thing about rejections is they're talking about pricing, right? When we look at rejections, let's go to this one right here. Rejected freight right here at 20%. We see it at 20% right here. So it's going to continue to go, as when you have a lot of freight, you have rejections very high, it's going to just keep them prices up where they were. It's going to be curious to see, because here we go. This is the week, right? And we don't have the data yet. The only data we have to compare was last year. And what we believe is this right here, is that we're seeing more store traffic than we saw last year. Yep. More store traffic means that, those online sales just in general, that means they can't be as high as they probably were last year.
And also they understand that there may be delays in shipping, so they're going out and they're actually just picking them off the shelf if they can.
Yeah, we actually got a comment in from a driver just a second ago saying that he just drove through Long Beach, and there are, in fact, containers everywhere stacked 3 high under bridges and overpasses in the entire city.
Yeah, and
empty's trying to go back and they can't take them back.
Yeah, it's out of control. And again, there's no answer to the supply chain this year. We're going to finish where we are, but I will say this: it will start leveling out when we as consumers don't order as much online because we're not going to get it. We quit doing that part. We go back to the stores. We clear out their inventory, right? We clear out their inventory. They're going to get more in their warehousing, which I do say this is that the more warehouse deliveries we make, it's a little easier than going house to house to house to house to house to house to house. That could be a beat down. Hey, we'll be back to you in about 60 seconds with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Hi, this is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road. You got to be prepared to stop, and when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights. You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Dave, did you get plenty of turkey food over the weekend?
I got a lot. Got a lot
Plenty of
food.
leftovers too?
Oh, yeah. I dug in. In fact, we still have family lingering still today.
Oh, my God. No. So by Monday, here we go, folks.
Oh,
By
dude.
Monday, and if you're at home right now, and maybe you're sitting and watching this, and you're the in-law of one of our listeners, and you're sitting on the couch watching, you're not welcome anymore. Two things have got to happen on Monday morning.
Go.
If you're a visitor, you got to be gone, and if you're leftovers, you're in the trash.
Yeah.
Clear them out. You're not welcome in the house anymore. Get out.
Wait a minute. The pecan pie, can it stay?
Gone. If it hadn't been eaten yet, it's not worthy to be eaten. Producer.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. There's so many leftovers in my fridge right now. And on top of which, not a bad thing, for somebody who likes to not go to the store that often. But as for the lingering family, I left seeing my parents over on Sunday. I came back, or Saturday night, I came back over here. So my grandparents have been staying with my parents for about 3 weeks now. These are my mom's in-laws. So they actually were supposed to get a COVID test to fly back out, and lo and behold, they didn't actually buy a round-trip ticket. So they look at my mom and they're like, "Hey, guess what, Jen? We're staying another week." And the look
Wow.
of sheer disappointment that spread across.
Surprise,
man.
surprise.
Next year on the list will be, hey, before we do plans, I want to see you return home. You know what? No, when are you going home? I need to see that as well. Wow, what a shocker on that. Hey, but that's Coach Holland. Him and his wife, they're always welcome here. You know what? Shame on you. Shame. Anyway.
So my mom always said that if you stay longer than 3 days, it's like fish. It starts to smell bad. So she said you should only visit for 3 days. And
Do you guys shower?
You know what? It's just a saying, dude. It's not.
Dad, take it easy. He just asked a question. Don't get upset. So here we
The fish
go.
don't take showers. Go ahead.
So hey, we talked last week as well about the president releasing 50 million barrels of oil to help the pricing down a little bit. It doesn't do a
What are you
lot.
doing?
In Canada, they had kind of similar the same thing, right?
Yes, they
You
did.
see that?
Pancakes
50
are up.
pounds of maple syrup has been released from their reserves.
How many pounds?
50 million pounds.
Yeah, that's a lot of liquid gold. What do they call that? That's a lot.
So Quebec produces, I think, half of the world's stockpile of that, or it's quite
70%.
70%. Holy snapple! But that's what it was. So when they released 50%, that was half of their reserves. Half of the reserves have been released out because U.S. consumption or consumption around the world up like 20%.
Pancakes
I mean,
are
what's
on the
going
rise.
on during COVID? You don't just want Aunt Jemima. You know what? We're going high dollar maple syrup because it's not cheap.
It is not cheap. Maple syrup's not cheap, but it's good. Maple syrup's solid on a pancake.
On our side of 360, where we grew up at Drive Safe Dave, it wasn't even Miss Buttersworth. It was just log cabin. We had log cabin.
I like
we
log
didn't
cabin.
understand
I like
the
log
maple
cabin.
syrup like you grew up with,
I
sir.
like log
Two
cabin.
different styles. I get it. Maybe the closest we could get to maple syrup was that Caro syrup, that white syrup. We could just pretend it was maple syrup because it was different than the syrup we grew up with. So mom would pour it up in there, mix it up. Here's some maple syrup, kids. That's what happens, dude, on our side. I know you don't get that side. Hey, premonition. Some people say, in Drive Safe Dave, when's the last time you could have called somebody going to jail at birth? I think Jesus was not going to jail, but I think a lot of people knew good things are going to happen from Jesus when he was born. But listen to this. 40 years ago, this young lady was born, and at that moment, her destiny was etched. It was done. This lady's name was Crystal Methvin. Crystal Meth. And yes, she just got arrested and taken into custody. Crystal Meth was arrested. And I would say many saw this coming 40 years ago. Producer, what are you thinking about this?
I think it's pretty unsurprising. She's a Florida native, so she's coming in. Her name, 40-year-old Crystal Methvin, being taken into custody after being charged with, of course, possession of crystal meth. So she was arrested after a tip from a woman who was sitting on the highway. Took a look. Maybe they met, and she was like, "Oh yeah, nice to meet you. My name's Crystal, Crystal Methvin." And she was like, "You know what? I think I'm gonna call the cops.
So
I think I
you
gotta
get
call the
pulled over
cops."
for a traffic stop, and that's your name on your license. I mean, are you getting searched? I mean,
all I got to say is that there's some things that we're called at birth, or as a parent too, and producer. I mean, your last name's Holland. I don't know what you could go wrong with, but if your last name were Pot, don't name your kid Smoking. You know, just there's certain last names that you have that you just have. Don't go with the first name to kind of jack it up. Meth. This will be funny one day, honey. Let's name her Crystal. Crystal Meth. And lo and behold, 4 years later, she's arrested. Hey, we'll be back to you in 60 seconds with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected. News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong. Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety.
One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection, yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Dave sharing with us some names, some similar to Crystal Meth.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I knew I actually dated a girl in school named Holly Woods, and then knew a guy named Rusty Pipes. I knew a Dusty Rhodes. I knew a guy named Bill Board. And he had.
I'm thinking some of this you're making.
And
he
had two younger brothers.
That's more friends than you've had.
And I knew a guy. I said I knew a guy. I didn't say we were friends.
Gotcha.
And Bill Board had two younger brothers, Clip and Switch, and then a dog named Particle. Okay. And then.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I thought this was truth story.
No, the other
so
three
which is part of
Hollywoods
this?
and Dusty Rhodes were real.
Gotcha. But as we ease into when we start talking about safety, getting our minds ready for safety, man, we've had some close calls out there on the road. We've seen them on the videos. We want to make sure that we're practicing patience. Our streaks have stopped 2 or 3 times in the last month, and they're nothing crazy. I think we're not looking up ahead. We're not keeping our distance. I think we want to continue to focus on that. Counting out loud. It's a great thing to do. One Dr. Fauci, 2 Dr. Fauci, 3 Dr. Whatever you want to call, whatever you want to count.
Wow.
You want to count so you know that your following distance is good. And make sure that you're looking out ahead. We've seen the merging happening that is just close, whether they've ran into us, we've hit them, or merged into them. It's something we want to be very cognizant about. There's a lot of traffic, a lot of chaos, and when we tell you that, we want you to hear it and be prepared for the chaos that you're going to face today, possibly right this second. You've got to stay focused.
Yeah, you got to. So, and I think a lot of it has to do with just making sure that the blind spots that you have, and also being aware of the blind spots that they have. And making sure that whatever it is you're doing, you're varying your speed and you're not hanging out in the blind spots of those around you on the road, and you're doing everything you can to get out of those blind spots. Make sure that you don't hang out there. Make sure that you don't allow anybody to hang in your blind spots. Vary your speeds if necessary. Change your pattern, change your habit, but always do and stay on the know of what's going on around you at all times. If you're changing lanes, you have to expect that somebody's hanging out there in the blind spot. You have to be understanding that what's over there is going to be there, and you've got to either vary your speed in some way so that what's there will move out of the way.
Yeah, and we talked to you a little bit about that. Producer, what's our streaks at?
We are currently at 2, and it says 77, but I thought that we were higher in our get out and look than 77.
I was thinking the same thing, but we're over, so we'll call it 77, 78. So that part's going phenomenal, and that's action required. And we're asking you to do the same thing when it comes to the driving part. They all require action. Safety is truly an action thing. It's not luck. You know, some people say, man, it was lucky. I didn't know. There can be luck, don't get me wrong. But you know what? When you are diligent in how you approach safety, when you're diligent and you make safety your number one priority, and that means when you're running late, you still have to be safe. You gotta like clear the mechanism, clear it. Safety. I gotta focus on my safety. I'm gonna be late. There's nothing else I can do. It is. You're gonna be late, and now you can't be late and have an accident. You want to make sure that you're giving the proper distance, because when you think you're being late, when you think you're running late, or you are running late, you tend to drive a little faster, drive a little closer to that vehicle in front of you, or possibly not allow that vehicle to the right of you to merge over.
Yeah, and you make allowances. So you tell yourself it's okay. You know, you when you start to believe I'm late, you start to change your pattern, change your habit, and you change your mental way you think. You can't do that. You have to make sure that you put that up front of everything else and understand that doesn't give you the okay to speed. That doesn't give you the okay to close in on somebody. That doesn't give you the okay to change the habits that we're practicing here in safety. You've got to understand that when you're late, it is what it is. You still have to be safe all the time.
Yeah, so drive safe. I'm going to ask you to help the mindsets out of our listeners today. You know, we're talking to a man that over the course, how many years you drove?
20
years of driving experience, has been late more times than he's been on time. Drive safe, Dave. What did you tell yourself to keep your mind focused when you were late all those times?
You know, and that is a great question, because you really have to work that into your mindset. You really have to change what you're thinking, because none of us want to be late. Nobody wants in their heart of hearts to be late. But we have to understand that it is secondary. It is a priority that you run on time, but it is not a value that you be there on time. A value is that you protect life each and every moment. And if you tell yourself and you change your belief system and you understand that really I want to make sure I protect life over my on-time percentage, that is what you have to talk about to yourself and understand. That's really what you have to do. You have to change the way you believe and the way you feel.
And I'm going to go in again. I'm going to keep pressing this. I'm going to challenge you to count out loud. I just can't help but think that really does make you make a difference, because when you hear yourself saying you're too close, I don't think you have much of a choice mentally or to yourself to slow down, to back off, to increase that space.
Yeah, so you have to constantly practice that. You have to constantly be aware of that, because that same distance at 30 miles an hour is not the same at 50.
Thank you.
It is not the same at 60. It is a varying degree of space.
Yeah, and it changes in the rain, in the snow.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to give
Fog.
yourself absolutely any adverse weather condition. Any adverse weather condition carries its own value of how you have to react accordingly. So you have to change based upon that value. If it's snow, it's very great. If it's rain, it's a bunch. If it's fog, it's very great. You know, and if it's darkness, it also changes. So all these varying degrees of the weather conditions and the climate and what you're dealing with out there changes the way in which you have to drive each and every moment, and you have to adjust accordingly.
And sometimes we give you a phrase that pays that really helps you change your driving habits. Drive safe, Dave. Today is no exception. What is that phrase that pays?
Ho, ho, ho.
Whoa, whoa, what are you talking to me like that for?
Ho, ho, ho. Drive safe and return home, home, home.
One more time.
Ho, ho, ho. Drive safe and return home, home, home.
Talk to us, Drive Safe, Dave. The triple hoeing. What does that mean to all of us today?
It is a season of challenges out there during the holiday season. Not only are you going to have inclement weather and a lot of people out there on the road, you need to make sure that you focus on what you're doing out there. Drive safe so that each and every person, not only yourself, but each and every person that you encounter gets home safe.
All right. This is BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We'll be back to you in 60 seconds with Dale What do we call it?
Double check Dale.
Double check Dale.
Double check Dale.
Before we go to that, what the heck is double check? Talk to me, Drive Safe
Double
Dave.
check. Hey, double check is an opportunity to not only check it once but check it twice. You know, just like Santa does his list, you got to make sure you double check some of the things out there each and every day. And sometimes that means look twice in that blind spot, right? Look twice to the left. Look twice to the right. Double check some of the things out there each and every day.
I love it. I like it. I want some more of it. We'll be back to you in 60 seconds with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Hey, good morning. This is Double Check Dale on the morning version, Monday morning version of the Safety Show on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Yeah, like Drive Safe Dave said, that double check, double check that blind spot. Take that second look to the left when you're at the stop sign or going through an intersection. So, yeah, do that double check when you got to get out and back. So, let's just jump into some traffic and see what we got on that Monday after a holiday. Traffic-wise, and let's look at Dallas-Fort Worth. We're over in the Fort Worth side. 35W a little bit north of the 820 loop. You're going to see a slowdown coming into town. Of course, 35W in the downtown area of Fort Worth, there's definitely a slowdown there. Some slow traffic tie-ups and probably some pretty heavy traffic. On the 820 loop this morning down in Forest Hill on 20, you got a major slowdown there, and then up on 820 around the 30 intersection, there's a slowdown there. Mid-cities, Bedford, you got to slow down, and 30 going through Arlington, really heavy traffic this morning. Coming over the Dallas side, 20, once you get into the Duncanville area, lots of slowdowns and traffic delays there, so, pack your patience there. Downtown Dallas looks about normal there, and then 30, just inside the 635 loop, looks like there may be an accident or something there because we got some really dark red for a long space there. So if you're in that 30 where 30 and 80 come together inside the 635 loop, major slowdown there. And then the Dallas North Tollway upward intersects with 635. Looks to have some traffic issues there. Once you get south of town on 35 or 45 going south out 35E or 45 going south out of Dallas, looks pretty good there. Moving up to Kansas City. Kansas City looks really good this morning. Even the downtown area, just some light oranges there, nothing major. You get out to 70 on the Blue Springs side. There's a little bit of a slowdown, but overall, Kansas City's looking really good this morning. Monday morning traffic in Chicago. The typical, if you're inside the 294 loop, you're going to see a lot of congestions, a lot of slowdowns, a lot of tie-ups, probably even some accidents in there. But if you're on the 294 loop, you're looking really good this morning. Even out 55 junction looks good this morning. So, that's good news out in Chicago. 80 and 94 wide open this morning. No slowdowns or traffic concerns there. Where 88 comes into town, you're looking really good. And where 90 comes into town, before the 294 loop, all the way to the 294 loop, you're looking really good. So Chicago for a Monday morning after a holiday actually looks pretty good. We go to Atlanta. If you are in Atlanta, you should not be inside the 285 loop unless you are making a delivery. If you are on the 285 loop and you are south of Interstate 20, you're going to have pretty good travels all the way around except for Panthersville. And that's where Interstate 20 intersects with 285. Definitely some traffic going on there. If you are on the north side of the 20 on the 285 loop, you know, on the west side of town looks pretty good, except for around Vinning's a little bit of slowdown, but you get up around Sandy Springs and Chamblee, you know, major slowdowns and traffic tie-ups there. So really expect some delays up in that area. And then over where 285 goes through Clarkson, and then 20 around Stonecrest, you're going to see some delays in Atlanta. Looking at Philadelphia, Philadelphia has got a lot of traffic going on with a lot of slowdowns, a lot of delays. The best thing I'd say is just pack your patience, expect some delays, expect some slowdowns, some major slowdowns. You know, particularly in the downtown area of Philadelphia, you're going to see those slowdowns. And then where 295 starts going north out of Philadelphia, you know, slow down there. If you jump over to the New Jersey side, Haddonfield is where you're going to see a little bit of a slowdown. But other than that, the New Jersey side, you know, it really looks pretty good this morning, both on 95 and on the Turnpike. Going into Nashville this morning, you know, the usual culprits where 224 and 65 come together. You know, we're going to see a slowdown there on the southbound side. But, you know, the good thing is downtown Nashville looks pretty decent this morning. Just a little bit of traffic tie-ups at that 2440 junction on the south side of Nashville. And then 40 over around Mud Tavern in the Glenview area, we got a pretty good slowdown and tie-up there. So 40 on the east side of town, that's getting out close to the airport. You're seeing some traffic delays there. And then 24 south of town where 24 comes into town around Beverly Heights, a long stretch of red and slowdown and delays there. So, you know, overall not too bad in Nashville, but there are going to be some areas where you're going to hit some heavy traffic. So, you know, slow down, keep your distance, own that space in front of you. Going to the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area, you know, the 495 loop, lots of traffic in various places. Annandale, up around Silver Springs and College Park, Landover, all those areas have some exceptionally heavy traffic this morning, lots of reds and dark reds there. So again, expect some delays and some tie-ups out there. 66, where Interstate 66 comes into town and hits 495, some delays there. If you're headed up towards Baltimore, you know, 95 looks pretty good, but the other one looks, and I'm not real sure what road that is. We got some tie-ups there that goes past the airport. Once you get to Baltimore, that whole north loop, the whole 795 or 695, excuse me, north loop, lots and lots of traffic and slowdowns there. So Baltimore, you know, you're going to have tie-ups on that north loop. Indianapolis, you know, 465 on the north side of town up around Zionsville. Lots of traffic and slowdowns, tie-ups there. Expect some major delays there. And then 465 on the southwest or southeast side of town, down in Wanamaker, where it goes with 74. Got some traffic there. And then a little bit of a slowdown in the downtown area on I-70. But overall, Indianapolis looks pretty good this morning. And that wraps up the traffic, and we're going to weather. Weather right now, it is pretty calm all over this morning. As far as weather goes, not much going on. The only major concern I would have is if you're in the Wyoming area around Elk Mountain, there are some high winds predicted for later today, so you want to be aware of those. Other than that, the wind conditions for the rest of the day, for the rest of the country, look pretty decent. You know, if we even go the afternoon, the winds intensify a little bit out in Wyoming. Again, it's that Interstate 80 Elk Mountain area. And then there's a little bit of wind starts picking up in southern Illinois and Indiana. If we go over to precipitation, and there again is not much going on with precipitation today. Right now, a little bit out in the Pacific Northwest, and then we have some snow dropping down in that's eastern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin, and a little bit of lake effect snow out in Pennsylvania, New York. Looks like there's a few snow band showers coming down in West Virginia, probably in your higher elevations right now. This afternoon, more of the same, you know, the snow up in the higher elevations out in Idaho and Montana. And then in Wisconsin, that snow has shifted more to Wisconsin and Michigan. And so if you're in the Michigan and Wisconsin area around the lake this afternoon, expect some snow there, and that bleeds down into northern Ohio and northeastern Indiana. Overnight, the snow dies down. up in the Pacific Northwest, a little bit of showers out in South Dakota. But the snow does intensify into Pennsylvania, covers a wider area of western Pennsylvania, eastern Ohio. So be aware of that if you're out there this evening. With that, let's take a short break.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Dales, we've seen some of these videos on the commercial, right? As we go into the holiday, it just can't help but make us all wonder, what can we do better, out there on the road? Are there any, you have any tips, any tricks of the trade that you can help remind us on things to do?
I just think it comes to slowing down. Slow the chaos down, just slowing down, having that space. Drive Safe Dave says that you own that space in front of you. As traffic, as speeds increase, you have to keep that space. You have to increase that space. You have to count it out. We see too much tailgating, and traffic is getting heavier, with the holiday season and everything. And so we just really have to slow it down out there.
Yes, sir. I agree, and it's something we've got to. And we'll keep talking about it, but it actually does, and it's odd. It does take action. We can't just increase this. Say we're going to do it, and it's going to be there. You actually have to sometimes tap on the brakes, sometimes reduce your speed, whatever it is.
Yeah, without a doubt. So this week's topic is defensive driving habits. It's driving so as to prevent accidents in spite of the actions of others or the presence of adverse driving conditions. And this involves the driver learning to give a little. And, that really comes back to that slowing down, owning the space in front of you, being aware of the big picture, knowing that there's a merge point coming up. And so we have to slow down. We have to allow that space for the merge point. We have to expect the unexpected. Keep your eyes moving. Make sure we have, leave ourselves an out. And so that's really what it's about, defensive driving habits. And as the traffic picks up this holiday season, we have to make sure that we're doing it, and with that space. It is so conscious because it's so easy to think, I'm a good judge of distance. But in reality, most of us are not. And so the only way to really do it is, with the new artificial intelligence that shows us that, or the old way, count it out. When they go past a marker or something, you start counting 1001, 1002. It takes some discipline. And then when you realize you're too close, slow it down, back off, own that space. Somebody may catch off, but then you just start, backing off and owning that space again.
Yep, for certain. And we have some videos here. Producer.
Here we go, and we're talking about tailgating. Here would be just a prime example of, if you try count 1001 here when he goes past anything, it's not there. We need to slow it down. We need to back off. We're going to make a pass here. And if we're back, 4 seconds, we can still start that pass. We can still get over that lane. We just are too close here. We need to count it out.
Yeah, what we also, and we've seen it in videos from previous weeks, is we don't know what's in front of this truck. We don't know the debris that may or may not be there that he doesn't see or she doesn't see to the last second. They veer out of the way, and then we're in trouble.
Yep. So here you get, you basically, it happens all the time. You get into this situation because as you approach this vehicle, it's going at a slower rate than you are in the slow lane. But you really, what you have to do is you have to understand that when you get here, back off immediately and then change your lanes. But react accordingly to each situation. Waiting for the left lane to clear and staying next to this guy, hugging this guy and making it and doing that before you make your merge, that is the wrong way to make the play.
Yeah, it's hard to get to 1,000 on this. As a matter of fact, you don't get to 1,000 anywhere on this, not even 1,000. So we've got to just, again, if you're driving and you're behind this one, 1,000, I must back off. I must back off. That's what you tell yourself, and then you back off. Next one.
You know, and the next one's going to show us, you know, exactly what we're talking about. You know, we start out really good here, but the vehicle ahead of us is starting to slow down, and instead of us slowing down right away, we start closing that space. We are not keeping that. We are not owning that space in front of us. We're not sure. We don't know what's going on, you know, unless we have that big picture. And I think that vehicle is probably slowing down for the pedestrian and the car on the side of the road. But we have to own that space. We have to make those adjustments. As the vehicle and the traffic ahead of us, brake lights come on, we have to understand something is up there causing traffic to slow. We must slow with it. We got to keep that space there. You know, speed limit says 35 there, and we're talking about slowing down for the next 10 seconds of this video. We never get below 43. We've got to slow it down. Those signs are the law. I mean, it's not a suggestion. It's not saying, well, you know, everybody else is going that fast, so I can go that fast too. It is the law. We have to slow down. You know, we have to be the leaders in the industry. Just because everybody else in this video is driving that fast doesn't mean we should be, because we're breaking the law and we need to set the pace. And we're coming up to a stale green light here, and we're going to make a right-hand turn, and the light turns yellow. Driver had plenty of time to stop and should have stopped. I mean, just because we're making a right-hand turn does not mean we don't have to stop at that light. That light means, you know, the lane we're in, it means stop. And so just the fact that we're making that turn and we get in a hurry, and you know, what triggered this was the vehicle stability, because the driver's in a hurry to make it through that corner. Slow the chaos down.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. We talk about this all the time, and I get it. We're going to see that. We don't see all the good ones, right? We don't see all the times you stop when you're supposed to stop. We're talking about the ones that that create an alert. You know, we're getting the videos sent in to us from companies or whatever that is. But we want to make sure that you know that you just have to stop doing this stuff. If you can't run yellow light, you just can't do it. And again, you are the only ones that can stop this from happening. We can't sit back here and stop for you. It's got to be something that you are doing right there. You've got to stop. You've got to reduce your speed. When you're driving in a 35 mile an hour, you have to reduce your speed to the requirement. It's not, Drive Safe Dave says, a suggestion.
Yeah, you know, when we look at this one, if there's traffic behind us and they're way too close and they can't see the light in front of us, we turn to the right, and that car's probably going right through right now what would be a red light. Intersections are dangerous, and that's what happens. And so, you know, if we stop there, we protect the traffic and the people behind us. And we do have this one's good. This is driver is slowing down to do the weather and road conditions. The road is a little bit slick here, so the driver is slowing down. We're going about 30 miles an hour here, and so, I mean, has definitely taken it to heart that the weather and the road conditions have changed, and so I've adjusted my driving speeds. And just a great video here. I love showing this one.
Yeah, for certain. I mean, you have to reduce, you have to adjust, reduce, you have to adjust your speed to the weather conditions. Drive Safe Dave, we spoke about that earlier today, in the rain, fog, snow, ice, whatever it is, traffic. You know, if you're driving through it where there's a ball game that's letting out, you have to be prepared and you have to change according to your surroundings.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things here that are great to watch and to understand. Number one, we can't truly see the condition of the road by the video, right? We don't understand it as well as the driver does. The driver has full knowledge of what they're encountering and what they're doing. This looks to be also as a incline that the driver's going down. And also reduce speed to make sure that it stays in control of the vehicle all the way through the slope as they go down. Wow, what a great video! This is an outstanding video here.
You know, the next one is also, I mean, you know, we got we're going slow through the curve, and this driver, you know, he slows down even more and moves as far as he can to the left, you know, to give that pedestrian in the vehicle, the broke down vehicle on the side of the road, as much room as possible, because we never, you know, we always say expect the unexpected, and we don't know when somebody's going to step out from that, behind that vehicle, or open a door from that vehicle. So just another great job of the driver being aware of what's going on, giving as much room as possible and slowing down for it.
Yeah, I like the slowing down, especially if you're going to put your steer tire off of the roadway to make sure that the tail swing doesn't encounter the vehicles on the right. Great job here in all around. Good job.
And one more that's really good. A driver in this video is stopped for an accident ahead of us, doing the right thing, trying to protect traffic, and all these four-wheelers are just too big a hurry. We're all going to get there. We just have to do the right thing, the safest thing, and stop and wait for the road to clear. It's just incredible video. So great videos this morning. We started out with some that, some opportunities to improve and to learn from. And then we saw some videos where we're doing a lot of great things, a lot of things right.
Yeah, and as we get into this holiday, we just want to make sure, and we're going to keep reminding you, because when the holiday comes, I'm telling you the chaos, and it's not just the chaos in your life, it's the chaos in all of those four-wheelers, all of the truck drivers, all of the people at the fuel island. Across this country, chaos, stress really does creep up on you, and you've got to respect it and understand it and know it's going to happen. Producer, who do you have, sir?
Yeah, we got Harvey Shaw and then David Mason. So what you got for us, Mr.
Harvey
Shaw?
Shaw, how you doing, sir? Haven't heard from you for a while. And it looks like we may not still hear from
Morning.
you. Hey, Harvey.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
We do, sir.
What's going on, Harvey?
Okay. Just a little traffic update. 40 eastbound going toward Memphis, where the 55 and 40 merge at, right or in West Memphis there, is closed due to a big truck and 3 cars got together there on the bridge just right past the merge, and yeah, it's going to be closed for a while. The big truck rolled over after he hit the bridge, and yeah, it's a mess through there.
Gotcha.
So we'll try to avoid it.
Appreciate that.
That's all I got to say.
Thank
Y'all
you,
have a good
sir.
day.
About the 18-mile marker, for those of you that want to know. Drive safe.
No, that's not correct.
All right, David Mason, what you got going on? How about you, Mr. Mason?
Here we go. Just 2 things. First of all, it's like the 275, I believe, there in West Memphis, but that's secondary.
It's not
The other thing is that second video, the one where the car is slowing down in the right lane. I just wanted to mention that we talk about owning the space, and Dave has said it before. As your speed decreases, it looks like we're slowing down here. We are gaining on the car, so we need to slow down a little bit more. But I want everybody to realize that, like Dave says, that you don't have to keep the exact same distance as you slow down, but because as your speed gets slower, you're going to keep the same time, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And so in this one, I think the driver, like, it's kind of a nitpicky video. Like, he is slowing down maybe just a little bit more to keep that, we closed just maybe a little bit right there at the end. But right there before the end, he was slowing down with the car. And even though the distance was getting a little bit closer, we still had a decent time right to the very end of the video there.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
And
at
that-
the very end, we've gotten a little too close, and I agree with what you're saying. And I think we hear you loud and clear. And what Mr. Mason's saying is that obviously, as you slow down, again, if you're counting though, like you had said, Mr. Mason, I think that really does help you on your space, because the slower you are, you're still going to have a little bit of space in between you, as opposed to 1 second. And that's what we don't want. And great point on that is. We've got to still have to manage that space between us and that vehicle in front of us. Producer, who do you have?
Yeah, we got Lonnie Payne. What do you got for us today, sir?
What's going on, Mr. Payne?
Morning, gentlemen. How's everybody?
Doing
going on,
well,
Lonnie?
doing well, Lonnie.
I just wanted to point out a couple of things. With these winter conditions coming, and they're here. But we talk about a lot. Our driving abilities and with the conditions and stuff. And it's so important, especially for people that may not have, the experience level. We've got multiple levels of experience in the company. And a lot of the people, they may only have, a couple of years or 5 years, whatever. It's very important to realize that you can't ever exceed the limitations of your equipment and or your experience level.
because, you know, you can get in a jam in a hurry. And then the second part is, even though we're in peak season, the customers are screaming for freight. You know, everybody wants to go, go, go. You can't compromise in our safety beliefs. You just can't do it. I mean, I seen a fatality accident yesterday with 3 trucks and several vehicles. And, you know, I just thought not only how sad it was of the loss of life, but there was freight scattered all over the interstate. And I thought, you know, they risked their life, they compromised their safety beliefs, all for the, you know, not only are they dead, but the freight didn't get anywhere. It's scattered all over the road. So the people still aren't going to get it. So when you get in a hurry and you compromise your safety beliefs, you're not accomplishing anything. You're putting yourself at risk. You're putting everything at risk. So I just like for everybody to kind of, you know, as they say, slow the chaos, but just stop and think about what you're really doing there, you know. That's all I had. Love y'all. # family.
Thanks, Lonnie.
All right,
Appreciate it,
Lonnie. Yes, and you know, you're saying it spot on, Lonnie. Is when you get into a rush that you tend to forget, you know, or you don't have time to do that pre-trip or post-trip. You don't have time to get out and look. I got to go. I know it's clear back there, and that's when things do happen. That's when you know, we talked about it last week. The gentleman getting ran over underneath the trailer. That's when bad things happen, when you don't do what you're supposed to do, and that's making safety your number one concern, your number one priority. When that becomes secondary, that's when bad things happen. And that's when bad things can't happen in the way you drive. When safety's not your number one concern. Out there on the highway, out there in your day-to-day job, your only thing that you really should be focused on is being safe. That's your number one job. The rest is all secondary. And once if ever your number one priority is not safety, we're in trouble. So that's what we've got to treat this as, just like that. We're going to drive safe. Dave, you want to close us out with a prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, we gather before you today to ask for your grace in all things. Father, give us the ability and the courage to go out and do what needs to be done. Do your will on the world as you see it, and give us that extra ability today to see safety for what it is, to understand for what it is, and to give us the passion to grab a hold of it and to use it today and understand it is necessary for us to be successful out there on the road. Father, give us what you can today to make it better for all of us around us. Also, Father, thank you for the blessings that you have bestowed upon us in our lives and in every single day and every single moment that you have given us. Father, we ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. And hey, Larry Graham, if you're watching us today, we want to send a shout out to you. We miss you. We love you. And lots of prayers going your way, my friend. God bless each and every one of you. We'll see you this afternoon on the one and only BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.